Good evening. Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome to the new look, new time, new day. It's not a orb, it's dust show with myself, Peter Wren, and the lovely Linda and chatty Kathy. How you ladies doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good, good. Weather's nice. Yeah, we've been outside all day today. Didn't go investigating yesterday. We were supposed to have a residential case yesterday, but Jason attended that on my behalf, so that was good of him. But yeah, no. Besides that, probably the next couple of weeks, it's looking like I'm going completely gung ho with investigations for about 2 months. So I've enjoyed the rest.
Nice. Are we going to be doing any of those investigations live?
Yes. Oh, Linda's gone. She probably got too overwhelmed with the fact that I was outside in the garden all afternoon.
I think she got stuck, actually.
I know she did. Just used to.
But I might log off if you keep talking about the nice weather over there.
I know. Just keep going on about on and on. But yeah, no, I'm gonna. There is a couple that we're going to be doing that. I'm gonna do like a live feed for the show. So stay tuned for that. It's just obviously I've got ticked the boxes with permission and that kind of thing. So stay tuned, I guess.
Good.
What about you, Kathy? How's your week been?
My week has been good. It's been actually really busy. Just my own work and stuff like that. And yeah, it's been good. I'm not enjoying the weather as much, although today was fairly, decent. But apparently that's going to change again. Lovely Alberta here. That's where we are. The weather snows on one side of the road and is hot and sunny on the other side. It's pretty much we're used to it now. So it is what it is. It's too bad we can't all just sort of have homes on wheels and we could just push our home across the street some days,
It's yeah. Yeah, well, the way the houses are built in Canada, you can probably put houses on skateboards and just tie them by the roads. It's like there's without digressing too much, that we've got a heritage site downtown, like downtown Kamloops, and they're building, of course, they're building like apartments there now and all that, but they've literally picked up the houses and they're moving them to another part of Kamloops, and it's just like. It's very it's weird even hearing that, because obviously where I come from, and there's a lot in Ontario as well, and there's a lot in Alberta as well. Like all of our houses are made of brick, and that's it. And you can physically pick a house up and move it because, there's not any equipment big enough to do that unless you want to remove the brick and put the bricks back in, kind of thing. But anyway, how's your week been, Linda?
I'm good. We're having major winds, so my internet connection is a little strange. I'm back.
I thought you went when you meant wind. You had a bad curry last night.
Yeah, I wish, because I really like curry. But anyway, no, we're good.
Different story for another time. Okay, guys. Like I said, welcome to the show. And if you like the content of the show, please, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, push like, and click on notifications as well. We really rely on your guys' support, and we hope you like the content of the show. So please show your appreciation. So this week's guest is a very good friend of mine. I've known Kelly for a number of years. She's come on in relation to the topic that we've been talking about over the last few weeks in relation to hauntings and houses that houses that have a bit of history and the witnesses side of it and their kind of accounts, that kind of thing. Kelly has had a fair share of active places. I can personally verify with a couple of places that she's lived at as of late, and it just seems to follow her around. She was also my VP for Vancouver Paranormal Society for a number of years, and then she integrated into president when I left. So me and her are still pretty much joined at the hip. So that's just bring her onto the show and say hello to her.
Hello. Hey, Kelly. Hi, guys. So Kelly and I have actually been Facebook friends for a long time, and this is the first time we're actually getting to meet face to face. So this is wonderful for us.
I know. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. I feel like I'm with all of my friends.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
Lynda, you as well. You and I've connected quite well too. So yeah.
It's true. It's old home week. I like this.
Yes, hello. So, Kelly, the topic of the show is, and we will integrate into VPS later in the show, but I guess the topic, the theme, the rhythm that we've had over the last few months is we're talking to people about haunted houses, places that they've lived in and that kind of thing. And you have had a fair share of places that you've lived in, and I can verify 2 of them have been very active as well, as to the one you're living in right now.
Yeah.
If there is anyone in the studio audience that is watching, if they see a pale-skinned person walking in the background of Kelly, and that's not a ghost, that's actually her child, that's actually her son, and he's actually walking around the place shirtless at the moment, so it's not a ghost, so we're not going to have people.
It's what it is.
It is. Okay, so Kelly, yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your, the places you've lived at, that kind of thing. Give us a history on that.
Well, for me, I mean, I work with people with intellectual disabilities. I work in an art studio, done many different things. As far as the paranormal, for me, it started when I was quite young. My very first experience was in North Burnaby in the lower mainland of BC. Just summertime, all the neighborhood friends, going and checking out, exploring, different parts of the area, and something followed me home. And I guess my interest was piqued at that point, and and it just never stopped. I mean, there were lulls in my life, but I've always had activity around me. Maybe part of it's because I'm open to it. No one else in my family is. They think I'm nuts. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I mean, I've had so much activity, and like Peter said, he can validate some of that as well. So, but yeah, so that's what really got me into it. As a kid, back when I was growing up, there was no internet, so there was no real way to connect with like-minded people and doing research and that kind of thing. And it was always a lifetime dream of mine to become a paranormal investigator. I just never thought that that's something I could do, because back then it was about being a parapsychologist. And there was only one university, I think it was Duke or something like that, that offered those kinds of things. And, pipe dream, right?
Yeah. My very similar to me is when I first started having experiences, you couldn't find anybody. Like you like this was, people just thought you were crazy, when you're trying to explain what's going on, and, the things that and your kids are experiencing or whatever.
Yeah.
There was just nobody to help you, nobody that you could, or at least if you did, it was thousands of dollars. Like this wasn't, something cheap. It was like you said, a parapsychology university or something along that line. Like it was crazy. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. So exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For me, it actually started before that. Like before I even had my first experience, I knew that there was something different. I knew that we weren't just about, and I'm talking about being a very small child, not even, put out there to the world yet. And I knew that there was something more to us, so yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the social media has a lot of disadvantages, but it has helped in relation to bringing things like this to the service, along with the internet as well. Like even today, like there's certain elements of the paranormal back in the UK is still a very taboo subject, but with the TV shows and the internet and obviously social media, where we've got like chat play, Facebook pages where we can actually talk to people, like-minded people as well. It kind of dissolves that stigma in relation to what we do, and it's definitely a gain, but there are disadvantages to it as well.
Yeah, this kind of like a double-edged sword.
It is, yeah, pretty much, yeah, in that respect.
Yeah.
That's true.
So tell us your first experience in the house, in a house.
In a house.
Yeah.
So I think I'll talk about the one when I was, a lot of stuff happened in North Burnaby because that's where I grew up. I moved into just a very small four level apartment building. So there's only, I think, like 8 suites or something like that in this apartment building. And the very night that I moved in, these 2 young mover guys, I didn't know them, but I heard them somehow, and they moved me in, and it was very late at night. And I ordered us pizza and the whole 9 yards. I had one lamp. I think it was my red lamp with a red cover on it. It was kind of ominous looking. And so we're just sitting around talking, hadn't unpacked anything or even set anything up yet. And we all agreed that the air in this apartment was really musty and dank. And I used the word dead. The air was dead. And the guys, they totally knew what I was talking about. They felt the same way. It was kind of hard to explain. You know, when you go into a really musty, kind of moldy, kind of mossy kind of room, kind of like that, only without those physical things there, right?
Right.
So they left. It was about midnight, and I set up my bed and I went to bed. I was so tired. And as soon as I crawled into bed, I felt like somebody was standing at the foot of the bed watching onto me. And I wasn't scared. That was a really important piece. I wasn't scared at all. And all of a sudden, I could smell sweet red roses, like someone took a bushel and put them right up into my nose. So every sensation I was having was quite strong and standing out for me, right? And then all of a sudden, I mean, I'm in a darkened room. My eyes aren't closed because now I'm kind of, what's going on here? But I saw this in my mind's eye. I'm sure, Kathy, you could understand what I'm saying, but for me, it's the best way I can explain it. I saw this fluorescent question mark in the blackness of my mind's eye. It was such a phenomenal experience. Wow. And as soon as that happened, you know those blackboards that kids have that if you scrape it, it's got all the colors?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like. Exactly. So, and then all of a sudden, this rush of emotions and words and sentences came through. And I knew that they weren't my thoughts. Wow. Don't ask me how I knew that. Yeah. Again, Kathy, you would probably understand this.
Yeah. That's exactly how I receive things. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's a really, you and I need to talk. So things like, who are you? What are you doing here? What's happened to me? Help me.
Right.
And this happened every single night that I went to bed for months and months and months. And it got to the point where I was able to pick up that she was an older woman, like very much older woman, who had passed away in the apartment, and very feisty. I could pick that up. She was very feisty, but she wanted my help, and she didn't know what to do. So this carried on and on and on for months. And then a girlfriend of mine moved in with me for a while. She was kind of in a transitionary period, and she always trusted when I felt like that there was something around, in all of our years as friends. And so this one night we were heading out, going somewhere, I can't remember where, and I was thirsty. So I grabbed a tumbler glass and I had some water. I gave her some water. I grabbed the glass back and I put it on the backsplash beside the sink. We were gone maybe a couple of hours. We came back and it's like someone had taken that glass and taken a glass cutter. Can I get this right? Taken a glass cutter and cut all the way around the rim and then taken that rim off and then hung it over the edge of the mug or the glass, sorry. And the two of us were like flabbergasted because, I mean, it validated what I already knew and what she trusted in me that I knew was there. Fast forward. So the activity only ever happened at nighttime when I experienced her directly, but that was the first physical thing that happened. And then another morning, my girlfriend had come home with another girlfriend of ours. I guess they'd been partying all night, and I had to get up early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, go to work, and they're rolling in at that time. And they toddled off to bed, and I'm getting ready. I'm going to make myself a cup of tea, and I had a teaspoon in the dish rack beside the sink. And as I'm at the sink, this spoon came arcing out into the middle of my kitchen floor.
Wow.
You know, if it's going to fall out, it's going to slide out. It's not going to come up and down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not a morning person at all. So I just kind of let that slide and carried on. But about a minute later, I had these 2 little 4-inch potted plants on the back of my stove. You know, the old stoves that's got a little bit of a rim. Yep. So I put 2, you know, between my, on the other side of my spices, I had my 2 little potted plants. And in the dining room, I had no furniture in there. You know, I was, you know, kind of ghetto. And the plant closest to the dining room did the same thing as the spoon. It arced and flew directly into the middle of the floor of the dining room.
Oh.
Like, and I'm talking middle of the floor. It's like it was a bullseye. It was the weirdest thing. And at that point, you know, I'm used to her being around at nighttime, and I got a little mad and I swore a little bit because now I have to clean it up and I still have to get ready for work.
Didn't like those roommates being there.
Right. I don't think she did, actually. I don't think she liked how they came in partying. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
And so I went to beside my fridge. You know, you always have a little bit of a space between your fridge and the wall. That's where I kept my broom. I went to grab my broom before I can even touch it. It came out and hit me on the head. and it was almost like the sense that I got, it was like, now don't be saucy.
Yeah.
So I apologized and went back to the business of getting ready for work. So those are the only physical things that actually happened in that place. My girlfriend Kat actually moved out, got her own place. And I had the day off. I was working security at the time. And I was sitting on my couch. It was a beautiful spring day, June day. I had my sliding door window wide open. You can hear the slight breeze and the leaves just kind of rustling. It was such a beautiful, calming day. I think it was just reading or something. And all of a sudden, the feeling that I always have at nighttime when I go to bed, I had at this time. And it was so exaggerated. And the energy was just so anxious, so full of anxiety. It was palpable. And I found myself getting up off the couch, going to grab the phone book, you know, the old days of the phone book, the big heavy phone books. And I found myself rifling through the gray pages. And I was completely being driven to do this. I didn't even know what I was looking for, but I found the UBC Psychic Society. Had no idea it even existed.
Right.
And I went right to it, and I called, and this lovely woman answered, and I said, please don't laugh at me, because, you know, that's what you do. And I told her what was going on. I'm still sitting on the couch. And so I told her, you know, the roses and everything, the feelings, the thoughts, and that I felt like that it was an older woman. And she said, you're right. It is an older woman. She did pass away there. And the reason why she's reaching out to you is because you're a medium. And I said, no, I'm not. I don't know. All I know is there's someone in my apartment.
Right.
I'm not a medium. I'm small, actually.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the meeting is a little bit in the middle, but whatever. So as she's on the phone, she had me say this verse. So I grabbed a pen and a pad, and I'm writing what she's reciting to me. The brothers of the light, please guide the soul toward the light, blah, 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 blah. I don't remember the rest. And so I'm reading it out as she's telling me. And I said, is that all I need to do? She goes, my dear, you already have. And all of a sudden, it's like this, the most beautiful, intense love that is not of this earth. Even having a child, I haven't felt this kind of love. It doesn't exist here. It's the only way I can describe it. Went through my torso and lifted me up in a breath, like a very deep breath. And she's still on the phone with me, and I'm telling her everything that's happening. And those red roses were just magnified. It was just brilliant. And all of a sudden, I exhaled and the air cleared. And she was gone. And this woman said she said that the elderly woman had passed through me. She gave me the gift of love as she passed. But that's not that's when that part of it ended, but it didn't completely end. This went on for a few years. So, I was back in my party days. so I went out with another girlfriend to a bar, and we, met a couple of guys. We're going to go have some tequila, and we drove by my old apartment. And I said, wow, I used to live here. He goes, oh my gosh, so did I when I was a little kid. And it turned out that woman, she used to babysit him when he was 4 years old. She was Scottish and very feisty. He called his 83 or 84-year-old grandmother at 3:00 in the morning to find out her name. She wasn't even mad. She couldn't remember, but she remembered later. Her name was something like Mrs. Gertie Kendall.
Right.
So fast forward in time, my girlfriend Kat, who stayed with me for a while, she and I were at odds, and we hadn't spoken for a couple of years at least. And I ended up being good friends with an Australian guy, Brooke, and I was at his place and I saw her photos in his photo album. I'm like, oh my God. Well, he tried to get her to come to my place for Thanksgiving chicken. And so I finally caved and said yes. All of a sudden, Kat and I are talking, and the red roses just came up. And it was beautiful. And we both at the exact same time said, the red roses, she's here with us.
Yeah.
So it's almost like she brought us together. And so for me, this is probably the most important experience I've had with any kind of spirit interaction before, because I know, don't ask me how I know, but I know she's going to be there when I pass.
Right.
I know 100%.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's the whole interconnectedness of everything too. I mean, the fact that this guy used to live there and she used to babysit him. I mean, really? That's unbelievable. Wow.
I know. It's really crazy. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And validating, you know, that this is a woman that once lived. She connected with me after she's passed and I'm living. We've connected on some kind of a soulful level, and obviously she cared about me.
Yeah.
And I care about her.
That's so beautiful.
So, yeah. Not all paranormal experiences are scary.
Yeah.
You know, and I always say this, they can be quite beautiful. Ghosts are people too.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
It's the misinterpretation of fear, because people fear the unknown.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time we do what we do and we just translate what they're trying to communicate to the witness. And but yeah, no, interesting. Yeah. So you progress on, and there's other places that you move to as well. The apartment, the one before last as well, that has there was a lot of activity, and there was some significant evidence that transferred over to your new house as well in relation to similar like a similar thing.
Yeah. So that place is like 8 minutes down the road from me, and I was actually talking to one of our investigators about it yesterday. That, you know, I I miss that place. If I could move back to that place, I'd move back to that place. And I think a lot of it because of the activity. I don't shy away from that stuff, as Peter knows. Jump right in. So basically, it was the day that I moved in there. I knew that there was something there. I actually ended up sick with the flu that first week that I moved in. So I drop off my kid at daycare and I'd go back home to the couch and just like, oh, you know, and I felt like during the day, I felt really nervous that there was someone watching me. It felt like a male. And I was seeing something in the TV because the TV was off, but it was like I was seeing this face in the TV. And I know about pareidolia and matrixing and all that kind of stuff and glare and all that kind of stuff. But I saw this man with these glasses and it was really alarming. And I wasn't with the team yet. I hadn't even connected with any of the international Facebook pages that I would soon become part of and admin in. But so within that first week that I moved in and I was feeling these feelings and seeing that face in the TV screen, which was weird, went to bed one night and I always kept my bedroom door open. And this night I went to bed. I'd literally just gone to bed and my door was just a little bit open. And all of a sudden, the door started slowly opening wide. Oh. And then I could hear the floorboards creaking, someone walking around into my room and around the bed, and then triggering the dresser at the foot of my bed. And so now I keep my door closed every night ever since then. I just do. Because that place was a little different. That place wasn't the same as the other apartment that I told you about. There was activity almost on a daily basis. And I'm not the only one that experienced it. My son experienced it. A couple of old investigators from VPS experienced it. Actually 3 of them. We would see partial body apparitions. My son saw a full body apparition and the partial. He saw an arm coming out of my bedroom door one morning. Another morning, I saw him leap back from the kitchen light as when we got up because he saw something, and I put him up to the table in the living room, kind of dining room area for his breakfast, and he kept looking back to make sure nothing was behind him. He was telling me that he was seeing, you know, that movie, The Incredibles? Mm-hmm. Incredibles, you know, the little boy that runs at lightning speed?
Yes.
Well, we were seeing a little boy shape, but with the fuzziness of Poltergeist from the movie, from the TV screen. Wow. So the static, so it was the shape, but with the static inside, running at lightning speed for about a week through our place. My son, Kalen, was seeing it first, you know, and I always supported him when he said that he saw something or experienced something, but I don't know because I didn't experience it. And then all of a sudden I started experiencing it within that same week, and it was whizzed past me a couple of times, and I'd go check on Kalen and he'd be in his room gaming or, you know, playing on his little gamey things or whatever. I've had a K2 device lift up right in front of my face on my table, like about 2 feet away. I was actually had my voice recorder up because, let me back that up. So I did an investigation, me and Scott from our team out in Mission. And it turned out that the woman had passed away 2 weeks earlier. She was a real jokester, apparently. The son and the daughter-in-law didn't tell us till the end of the night that they just wanted to know where the will was. Apparently, she wasn't given that information up. But we didn't capture any evidence, but I felt like there was someone there, and the dog was kind of acting a little sketchy, but you never know, right? Mm-hmm. So we go home, and the next 3 days, I'm having activity in my house. Wow. So I get home with my son, and he's got, you know, the stack of school papers, of course, and I put them on top of another stack inside my kitchen on a desk with my purse weighing it down. was on the phone with my best friend right around the corner from the kitchen, and I heard the papers violently being rattled. And as she's on the phone, I turn the corner and look in the kitchen. I'm seeing just the papers that I put down, not the other stack, just finally laying down onto the floor.
Wow.
So that's when I decided to do this EVP session. This time I am with the team, the VPS. And
Right.
so I'm trying to get whoever's there to roll the chapstick, and I got the K2 up, kind of on a rolled up cloth so I can see the lights better. And I've got my voice recorder going. Didn't capture anything on the voice recorder. So I asked them, can you please roll the chapstick, thinking that would be easier.
Yeah.
The K2, here's the K2, lifted up on its side and then down again, right in front of my face. What do you think I said?
Thank
Peter,
you.
Bloody hell!
do that again.
Do it again.
Right. So I packed everything up, put my stuff across beside my computer TV, and went in the kitchen, came back out. My K2 had been taken out of my case, right out of my case. I've had pictures and posters being yanked down, like, you know, the picture frames where it's just that little cardboard piece that you hang onto a nail. Had it ripped right down, torn. Yeah.
You have that in your new place as well, the place you're at the moment, over the top of the fireplace. And then there was something VPS card was balanced on the sink as well, wasn't it, on the tap?
Yeah.
Oh.
So when I moved in here, the EVPs that I got at that old place, it was like a super highway of spirits.
Wow.
It was men, women, just different voices. It was like a super highway. Very, 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 very active. Our devices would go off, the REM pods would go off. One of our ex-investigators actually physically with their own eyes saw a blue orb go by. Oh, and the spoons. You know when in your dish rack, you're really particular about how your utensils are placed. Well, I kept finding my little spoons and my big spoons being switched. And I'm really anal about that. And I'm like scratching my head. This keeps happening. And I know it's not my child. So one night I said, okay, I'm on to you. I know it's you. And I said, I'm putting them back now. I'm saying this out loud. And if they get moved, I know it's you and I'm not crazy. Next morning I get up. I went to bed. I got up in the morning. They were switched again.
There you go.
So when you move into your new place, the place you're at the moment, we obviously you and I were in contact in your other place, but I never made it down to your other place. You had numerous members of VPS going into your other place, but your new place, we did a seance there, didn't we? And there was at that time I had a whole array of different equipment, and there was a I can't remember what it was. I think it was a static detector. It was a static detector that a friend of mine sent from Florida, and it was very it was a very the way that it was set, it was only supposed to go off if there was a static detected in a close proximity. It wasn't like in the ambient area and stuff like that. And that was placed on the kitchen floor right by the kids' side of the kitchen sink, where I have actually seen my own eyes a guy standing at the sink, and it was the characteristics sounded like it was your granddad. Yeah, exactly. And anyway, so I put it there, and that went off throughout the whole time we were doing the seance. But what was interesting as well was that I got an EVP of a cat meowing. And Kelly doesn't have cats. There's no cats upstairs or anything like that. And it was clear as a bell. It's like this freaking cat. And one of the other investigators as well said that she's seen a cat in the place. And then it was only the second to last time I came down. It's probably like at least 2 years ago, at least. Where
more like 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I came down to your place and we were going out for an investigation. So I walked in through the back gate and I'm carrying the cases to your front door, and I opened up the sliding doors and I looked down and I could see a cat. I saw a little kitten cat, and it had like, it was a black and white cat with very like distinctive features and stuff like that. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, it's a cat. And it's like, hang on a minute, Kelly hasn't got a cat. And I turned around and I could see the cat through the glass, but it was when I was pushing the glass door back, it disappeared when I could see with my own eyes. I could see it through the glass, but it just disappeared.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of other things in your place as well. Like I get reactions sometimes with cats, and there was some odd times when I stayed over there where my eyes started like filling up as well. It's like a cat was in there as well, and there was just other bits and pieces as well that just it was just very peculiar about your place as well.
Yeah. So when we did that seance, so it was interesting because Peter caught the cat meow. I didn't catch the cat meow, so I had my recorder. Like where I'm sitting right now, in front of me, under the window that I'm sitting at right now. And Peter had his in the back behind the couch that I had. He had a Zoom recorder. So he's the one that caught that. But what I caught a man saying, "Come here," like an older, deep man saying, "Come here." And then there was the cat that Peter caught.
It's almost like the man was calling the cat, maybe?
Yeah. And then we caught that woman's voice too, Peter, that same night. I can't remember what it said, but you know, with regards to the cat, I mean, when I interviewed 5 of our current investigators, I interviewed them at the same time, and then I brought them over to my place for training because, come on, what a better place for training? Let's be honest. So Eliza was the first one to arrive, and she's sitting on the couch beside me. We're waiting for the other ones, and I'm talking away, and all of a sudden I see her looking around. She goes, "Do you have a cat?" And I went, "No," but she saw it whipping around the couch. But the thing about the cat is that while I've never seen the actual physical cat, I actually have recently, like very quickly. I think I told you about that, Peter. What I had been seeing was for months shadow play of what looked like a dark black shadow of a small animal darting around my couch, but I catch it in my peripheral. And then one night I saw this big black humanoid creature kind of crouched at my stove. I was sitting on the living room couch, and then as soon as I put my full visual on it, it's like it turned and leaped to the laundry room door and disappeared.
Oh, wow.
Then I went to check on my son, and I thought he was asleep, and I had gone to the laundry room door like right after that, because of course I'm going to check. And he said, "Mom, when you went to check the laundry," so I know that he was awake, there was a big, tall, black figure with a hat that blocked out my yellow Pokemon stuffy.
Wow.
And then headed to the door. And that's when I would have, no, that's not right. No. So it had disappeared to the laundry room. I'd seen it before Kaylin saw it. Isn't that weird? I don't know. No, it would have come out at the same time. But anyway, so he's seeing things too. But yeah, I mean, the business card, remember, Peter, that's when we were going to, myself and another investigator, we're getting ready in the morning. She's going to pick me up. We're heading out to Gibson's to investigate Molly's Reach. Yeah. And for the life of me, the night before, I couldn't find my newer business cards. I knew I had a whole bunch of old ones because, you know, you're going to pass those around to everyone, right?
Right.
In a new community. And so I just let it go. I didn't have any. And I got up in the morning and got all my stuff ready. I finally went to the kitchen sink to fill a water bottle to take with me. And there's one new business card balanced on the faucet. So I took a video and I sent it to Peter. I'm like, "Holy shit, Peter." You'll never guess what happened. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So whatever it was is helpful.
Wow.
I know. You teach it how to vacuum as well. That'd be handy as well. Like
Oh,
vacuum
and
stuff.
do the dishes because Caitlin doesn't like doing that.
I know. Perfect.
But yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of activity. Like, so the story I'm going to tell you now actually came up again. So a few years ago, I messaged Peter in the middle of the night, I think it was. I just had gone to bed.
I'm not answering right now. Bye.
I just gone to bed. My son was sleeping, and I shut the door because now we know that I always shut my bedroom door. And all of a sudden, like it always takes me a little bit of time to fall asleep. All of a sudden, it's like someone grabbed my bedroom doorknob and violently rattled this thing. Like it was violent. I was so scared, like I could barely move. I was just like, when you're just frozen in fear. And I'm not thinking paranormal. I'm thinking someone got into my place, but I would have known because of where the bedroom window is in relation to the entrance door of the house, of the basement suite. I would have known, but I had to, muster up the courage to go check to make sure that we were safe. Just as I expected, there was no one there. So then my head goes to paranormal because there was no mistaking that. Wow. No mistaking that. So I went back to bed, still shaking, and I was awake for another 20 minutes because now that I'd opened the door, someone was trying to get in. I went back to bed, shut the door. Someone's in now. I heard the creaking going around my bed for about 20 minutes and making my dresser creak.
Oh.
Now,
wow.
this is played out again recently. So a few weeks ago, I guess now, Peter, I told you about it.
Yeah.
So I now sleep in the living room on my sofa bed. My son's got the bedroom, and he was asleep, and then all of a sudden he came to sleep with me, and he didn't tell me why, but I asked him in the morning. I said, I kind of figured something was up. And I said, what happened last night? Why'd you come sleep with me? And he goes, because Mom, I got woken up by some creaking in the bedroom, like right by my bed and by the closet door. And it went around, and then my dresser started creaking.
Oh my God.
So he slept with me for 2 nights.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see that the whatever's happening here is cyclical. It seems like it's seasonal. It's early spring, late winter, early spring. It starts, and that's when I moved in here too. All those years ago, 6-7 years ago now.
Right.
And then it quiets down in, I would say, fall, winter months.
So with obviously all the places that you stayed with activity, and now obviously you're part of VPS as well, and you're a little bit closer to that kind of spiritual side. Do you think it's just a coincidence that those houses add activity, or do you think that they're following you around? You're that kind of conduit.
Peter, you and I've talked about this many times. I remember when we were at Stave Falls Powerhouse, and we're still developing a friendship at that time. We didn't know each other that well, but that's when I was living at the past basement suite, and I captured that EVP that was like class A. This thing is insane. Insane. And Peter said to me, he said, I think you've got an attachment. And I never ever felt like I've ever had an attachment. I don't think I do. But I've had so many people tell me that I'm either a beacon or I'm a medium, and I always push that away. And I think part of the reason why I do that is because maybe I'm afraid that people are going to say, oh, it's all about Kelly, that kind of thing. And I'm just not that person. Maybe because in this community,
I know, but I think that both you and I know personally, on a personal level, we're kind of past all that shit.
Yeah. So that's where I'm going with this. So I am I do think that there's something about me. I do think that I think some do follow me, maybe from my past place and from investigation. I don't think I've ever had anything negative.
Do you ever feel like if I open the door to mediumship, then can I shut the door when I want to shut it? Like right now, you're sort of in a safe place, I guess is the best way to say it. You can open, like when it comes through, you're accepting, okay, I'm good, but you don't want to be, I see dead people all the time.
I personally, I'd love that. I guess for me, twofold. My one concern would be anything negative.
Right.
And I do have a child, and that's a really important piece. The other part of it is again, that stigma, right?
Right.
I want to be taken seriously with what I actually currently do. And I don't ever want it to become the Kelly show. Maybe I just kind of want to kind of settle back a little bit and not have people, question me, I guess is probably a good way of putting it. But I do think that there's something about me. I think that's whatever that might be. I think with the experiences that I've had, I don't think that it's these places necessarily that are,
Right.
I don't know. It's hard to know.
I think doing what we do, I think it's nice to just occasionally look through that window rather than having it constantly having the window open in front of us. And that's the way I look at it as well. And it's when I came out of a transplant, I was a bit of a mess. Like I wasn't, I couldn't ground properly or anything like that. And I think it's that balance. It's like anything. It's this is our hobby as well, and it's having that kind of balance, that ratio in your life, that with seeing things as well. I think that it works better with some people. Otherwise, like the people I know that I've met over the years with when I was obviously part of VPS, they're pretty much a recluse because they can't shut that door. They like having that door open. And it's just it's emotionally and physically drained them, and it's that that line where you want to be kind of thing. But
I agree with Nikki. I do believe that some people are beacons for sure and attract activity. Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's we've seen that in many cases, or sometimes too being a beacon can also be where the person does have abilities, and it's like the spirit world is sort of saying, hey, maybe time to start using those. Time to start advancing on them, or time to settle yourself into it, or learn how to do what it is that you need to do. That can happen as well.
I'd like to at some point in my life, I'd like to, figure that out, delve into that, look into that. I think right now is not the time for me. I've got so much on my plate right now with work, the team, my kid. Having a 14-year-old is not easy. But my time will come, I think, when I can relax and look into some of those things.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. How did you meet Peter?
So I love this story.
It wasn't Tinder, right? So
no. So I had when I moved into that last basement suite, and it just really re-sparked everything for me that I'd experienced when I was younger. And it was a good time for me. So I rekindled a friendship with an old high school friend, Rhonda, on Facebook. And I saw that she was part of some paranormal groups, international paranormal groups. Okay. So I joined, and I soon became, I soon became admin, and you know, they took a lot of the admins took me under their wing, sent me software, you know, kind of in the background, and encouraged me to follow my passions of becoming a paranormal investigator, and taught me how to analyze audio and that kind of stuff. But that, you know, and then I did my own little excursion in Fort Langley and caught stuff. I'm so proud of myself. But that wasn't enough for me. I needed to be part of a team. And then I saw that Rhonda was also a member of the Vancouver Paranormal Society Facebook page. Okay. So I joined it. And then Peter had put up a post, like, I think right away, that he was selling some equipment. And, you know, he was selling a K2. And I really wanted the K2 because ghost hunters have K2s.
Yeah, that's why I was getting rid of them.
I know. Those dogs.
Carry that piece of plastic.
So Peter and I, so I messaged Peter and we made arrangements for him to meet me at a pub in Coquitlam where I live. And we met and had lunch. And we talked, and I'd already bought myself a voice recorder. He was really proud of me, even though he didn't know me yet. And we just had a lovely chat talking about our experiences, him in the UK and me and my stuff that I've shared. And then finally I said, and I said just like this, I said, so what are the chances I can join the team? And he just killed himself laughing. Picked me up the next weekend and took me to my first investigation, and I never looked back. Oh. And then, you know, Peter really took me under his wing, and he taught me everything I needed to know, not just about investigation, but how to run a team and what it looks like in the background, and how to talk to prospective clients, especially when it comes to historical and that kind of thing. And became best of friends.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I had a question.
God, sorry, Linda, we forgot you were here.
I've been like so fascinated just sitting here listening to all of this. It's amazing. No, one little question for you. What would tip you over the edge? I mean, I know you said that you were really afraid of the footsteps, the rattling of the doorknob and all of that. But I mean, yes, you're afraid, but I know you probably go towards that. You're like, well, I'll deal with it. What would tip you over the edge, honestly?
For me, and Peter and I've talked about this in the past because Peter does work with the Archdiocese on, you know, possible demonic cases if they come in. And I remember he and I were talking about one case in Hope, and he was telling me that it's nothing like it is in the movies. It's actually far worse, far scarier, and it's, you know, because you might not have that control to fight it off or whatever, right? And I guess that's the part that scares me the most. I don't want to ever come across anything demonic. For me, that would probably tip me over the edge. So, yeah. And I guess, I think part of it, and I've never told anyone this before, so welcome everyone. Inside Kelly's little world. I do feel like I am very open to things. It's kind of hard for me to explain. Like it's really hard for me to explain. I feel like my eyes are like this window, if that makes sense, to the inside and to my inner self. You know, even physically, my eyes. It's a weird way of explaining things, and I don't know how to explain it any differently than that. And I just feel like, thanks, Nikki. I just feel like because I feel like I am so open that I might be too vulnerable to something like that. I'm a very strong, very feisty woman, but I'm also a very sensitive woman. So that, for me, is something I don't want to have anything to do with, right? And if anything like that ever came up, I would be calling you, Peter, and you know that.
Who gonna call?
Peter.
So tell us
That's a
about
good question, Linda.
Thank you. I you know what though? I think we all feel that way.
Yeah.
I think we're all sort of, because we're all at the edge, you know, we're all at the cusp. I mean, you never know what you're going to run into.
Yeah.
And there's always that thought whenever you're going to a new investigation or you're dealing with somebody new, you know, is it more than I can handle? And I think that's the thing that really, as an investigator, you know, you kind of go, oh man, like, okay, I can handle pretty much anything, but I won't handle that.
Right?
Yeah. But you know, to be able to have that knowledge of the things that you wouldn't want to deal with, it, you know, it really says a lot about, you know, the experience and just the person themselves, because there are investigators that will take on too much, or you know, in some cases make more of a mess out of whatever is going on than originally started from, right? And that's when we get, you know, a lot of these, I guess the best word is amateur, non-experienced investigators that will run into places and they think that they're Zach Bagans and they're screaming, come and get the blah, 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 whatever it is that they, you know, crap they're going to spew out. And, you know, without the recognition that this is somebody's home, that's like when they go, these people are left with the crap that you created, you know, and I mean, that, you know, to put it in another perspective, that's kind of like having somebody, you know, come to your house and rip everything out of your cupboards and destroy your home and walk away. You know, it's that same energy. And there's a lot of that does happen. And so to be able to have that awareness within yourself and say, okay, this would be too much. This is where I would back off, and I would let somebody that does have the experience or the expertise or has handled situations like this is where I would call them and bring them through.
Absolutely. I mean, it's you know, it's you have to recognize what's in your wheelhouse and what's not. And because it's like you said, it's not just about you. It's not just about you. It's not just about the other investigators that are with you. And it's more than that. It's about the clients. That because you get to leave.
Right.
The clients don't. Right. And we've actually had many years ago an investigator tell a client that you know, the activity is going to step up, and they were already afraid. They ended up selling their house. So you're gonna be, and he was very antagonistic, and that's just not the way to go.
Right.
Well, we had that psychic down in the Lower Mainland as well, who actually told the client that there was 40 dead bodies in their back garden.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, good old Derek. Did I mention his name? Sorry. Sorry. So with the work I do, it's I guess people in the field, there's a lot of ignorance in relation to TV and stuff like that, and where, you know, Bill Baggins does come into, you know, alleged demonic activity and stuff like that. The work I do, I'm a documenting investigator, so I'm not frontline. Like all of my cases I do are done by I do via Skype, or I do virtually, and it's all like assessments and stuff like that. And it's only when, you know, all the boxes are ticked, I will go and do like a preliminary kind of investigation to the actual dwelling itself. But on the pretenses that I feel that I'm going to be safe, that, you know, things are not going to happen to me and stuff like that. And what I said to you years ago, that there's a misconception in what I've been told through for the guy I work for in relation to what's on TV, and it's not Hollywood in relation to what they do, and there are certain characteristics which has been interpreted through TV and stuff like that, but it's not like the full 9 yards, and it's not like, you know, heads spinning around and stuff like that. And there's a lot of transfer for science, because a lot of the characteristics in alleged demonic possession does come from medical conditions.
Right.
So that's where the Catholic Church get a very bad press because their reputation they have is that they just throw an exorcism in there and stuff like that, but they're actually very strict in relation to the steps they do before they actually perform an exorcism. Like they have to make sure that all the boxes are all ticked beforehand. But then you've got guys on Facebook now that have the collar and the necktie and call themselves demonic exorcists and stuff like that. And you know what, it's they can do that, they can work to their own beat on that, but 99.9% of the time they're doing more bad than what they are good, because they're carrying a powerful weapon in a subject, putting subjective thoughts into people's minds, and it's causing a lot of damage out there. So it's that line in the sand where we know, and I would know where I wouldn't attend a certain place, because we've got our own well-being, and we have families as well and stuff like that. And it's not to say that I'm skeptical about stuff like that, but I'm not a total non-believer. It doesn't mean because I haven't witnessed things, it doesn't mean that there's that kind of thing out there.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't want to try it, and I wouldn't want any of my investigators that I have on my team to try the same thing as well. I would put them out. I'd rather put them away and say, you know what, let's just give it, another day kind of thing, and let's just carry on doing what we're doing kind of thing.
Well, I think it's really important to say that, none of us are experts or professionals.
No one is.
We're exactly. But there are so many that claim that they are, or there's so many that claim that others are. But when you have either give yourself or are given a title of professional or expert, and you're thrown into something that you're not equipped to deal with. Right? I mean, you can label yourself all you want or be labeled, but it doesn't mean that you're equipped to deal with these things that we don't know, which is why we investigate.
Exactly.
Do it safely.
And it's not so much of the fact that there could be a wrong case that we go into and things could potentially go sideways paranormal wise. It's the fact that we deal with people's, people that reach out to us, they're sensitive, like they've made that extra effort to reach out to us, and anything that we say to them, they take gospel because they think that we're experts in relation to it. And we've got to be careful with that, because it's a stepping stone process because of the wrong words. It fills them with fear. We've had, like, when I was a part of VPS with you, Kelly, there was numerous people I had over the years that sold their houses. One person left their house in West Vancouver and moved to Kelowna and left their place empty because of the evidence we found. And it was a kind of a learning curve for me, because one of the investigators we had at the time relayed the evidence over in the wrong way, and it was perceived that it was negative. And we try not to, we try not to promote it as being like a negative demon or anything like that. But it was we did get activity, and we were trying to relay that information over in a gentle way, rather than us being, this is what you should run out the door kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's really important as investigators to, because we're not professionals. I think that the most important, with what you're saying, Peter, the most important thing that we could leave a client with is the gift of empowerment. I think at the end of the day, no matter what the evidence is or isn't, even if we don't capture anything, we can give them evidence, but the most substantial thing is to give them that empowerment to set limits and boundaries and to find their strength and their power. They're dealing with human beings. They're just not alive.
It is. It's empowerment and making sure they're comfortable as well, more than anything else. And a lot of people don't, there was some investigation I had when I was living down in Maple Ridge, where we went to clients and we tried to empower them into what was going on and stuff like that. They were too shit scared, and they didn't want anything about it. And all they wanted was that kind of that tiny bit of validation. And then they were like happy, and they moved out of the place and stuff like that, but they just wanted that
Yeah.
Yeah, they just wanted that validation that they weren't losing their marbles, kind of thing. But
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you, Kelly. Thank you. We've reached the benchmark of time for this week. Kelly,
I could go on for another hour.
I know. We don't normally go over an hour, so you're special. Would you like to plug Vancouver Paranormal Society before we go?
Yeah, so you guys, if you want to reach out to us for investigation or talk about any claims of paranormal that you might be having, you can check out our website at www.vancouverparanormalsociety.net, or you can join our Facebook page, Vancouver Paranormal Society.
Yay! And it would be wonderful to have you back on the show sometime too.
Oh, I would love to. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah,
it was so nice to see you guys too.
You too. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.
Thank you, guys. And don't forget, if you love the show or you like the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, click on notifications, and we will be back we'll be back next Sunday with another guest to be determined. We still haven't sorted that one out, but thank you, guys, and tune in again next week. Thank you and goodbye.